A portion of this video is sponsored by Dewar, and you're going to see firsthand exactly how awesome their winter denim is.
This is what happens when you pack your backpack too heavy, I think.
Okay, here's the bottom line. Tamron did not have to make this lens. No one that I know was really asking for it. The original version is one of the highest selling Sony E-mount full frame lenses, but oh my goodness, am I glad that they decided to make it anyway. This is the Tamron 28-75 F2.8 G2, and pretty much everything on this lens got an upgrade from the original except for the price. Well, okay, it's $20 more expensive than the original, from $879 now up to $899 for the G2, but pretty much the same price. And after seeing how awesome the new Tamron 35-150 was, I was really excited to see if this lens held up to the performance that we saw there. So of course, I went out shooting both video and photos to give you a hands-on practical look at what using this lens might be like. I hiked through snow up to my thighs, over some questionable ice, and into a cave of frozen wonders, all to make an example video for you so that you could see the quality of this lens. After that video, we'll come back, take a look at some photos, talk about some features, build, image quality, and my experience using this lens. But real quick before the video example, I want to tell you about this video's sponsor and the pants that I was wearing when I went for that trek through the snow, Dewar. So in this video, you may notice that I'm just wearing a pair of black jeans, hiking in the snow, and you might think, why would he do that? Well, these are the Fireside jeans from Dewar's winter denim line, and they are fleece lined, they have limitless stretch, reinforced seams, and a water-resistant DWR treatment. So basically they look like nice black jeans, but they're built to last, to keep me warm, to keep me dry, and to flex for when I'm moving around a lot, like when I'm hiking to a cave. Dewar seriously has the most comfortable pants. I have like 4 different pairs of their pants now. The Firesides that I already mentioned, the Stay Dry jeans that have the same water resistance, stretch, and durability, but better for all seasons because they don't have the fleece, the Adventure pants, and then my personal favorite, the No Sweat pants that look like nice black pants, but they feel like sweats. And even the hat that I was wearing on the hike is Dewar's responsibly made merino wool beanie, and it was perfect for the trek. So make sure that you go check out Dewar using the link down in the description and use the code DUNNA15 to get 15% off your purchase. And now, let's put those pants to the test at the same time that we put the Tamron 28-75 to the test. Enjoy. The following video was shot entirely on the Sony FX3 and the Tamron 28-75 F2.8 G2. So once again, we're back out here, the Rocky Mountains in Alberta. I hit up my friend Pete, who you might recognize from the Porsche video, and basically said, hey, I'm coming your way, build me an adventure. So we're currently hiking up to a spot that looks pretty magical. If conditions are right, the ice actually grows up from the ground rather than like the icicles coming down from the top. So I'm pretty excited to hopefully see that. We're not sure 100% what the conditions have been like as far as making that happen quite yet. And meanwhile, Pete is scoping out photo spots, get some ideas for coming back later when he can take his wonderful nighttime photography.
I should have brought spikes.
So we're running into a part where we're not really sure how thick this ice has gotten yet, and the easiest way is to go across this little creek here. We're testing the waters a little bit here.
It's pretty deep right there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go really quick. Still early in the season.
This is not sketchy at all, Pete. That sounded pretty solid.
It's pretty solid.
I managed to get myself in a bit of a predicament here. I'm really glad that these pants have a waterproof coating. It's like right up to the thigh there. Oh man. Here we go again. This is what happens when you pack your backpack too heavy, I think. I keep sinking in. I need some like Legolas powers right now where I can just be on top of the snow.
People's footprints that are going through it, so it's just underneath down there. But we have to traverse over that cliff there and then come back down and then down there. But it looks like it's accessible, so that's good.
So we're just approaching what Pete is calling our final descent, back down kind of into the valley here, or whatever you want to call it, closer to the water. And it is sketchy. So Pete is going ahead, a great guide and host to check it out before I have to go down there, because I don't know what I'm doing.
It looks pretty good. The snow is packed really nicely, so there's nice steps that someone made for us. So it should be an easy trip down. Whoa!
There we go.
Every once in a while, look for overhead hazards. I forgot.
Wait, was I supposed to bring a helmet? Yeah, I don't see a lot of footprints or anything.
Well, they're over there.
Yeah.
So, probably okay.
How you feeling about this, Pete?
Just about ready to try without my camera.
How's it look after that?
There's some sketchy bits, for sure.
Okay, so it's sketchy like within reason here. So Pete kind of went ahead to check it out, but I lost sight of him, so I need to go make sure he's okay. So there's like this water, and then we need to go up that way. You can kind of see like how much there is to stand on, but like who knows how it's changing throughout there. But Pete made it all the way down there and he's on his way back, so.
You just gotta be careful right here, and then we're pretty good all the way in, and then in the end there's one more sketchy bit that's just a bit hollow, that we gotta be careful there. One final hollow bit before the cave, before the reward.
you'll definitely hear it hollow in the middle. All right, here we go.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So just watch those ice features above you. They're not fully formed, but I mean, you can kind of start to see them. They're pretty cool.
So we made it to the cave, made it over the slightly sketchy parts, and these things are really cool. So they're not quite fully formed yet. They get quite a bit bigger. From what we can tell, it looks like the water dripping from the top of the cave doesn't freeze into like icicles coming from the top of the cave. It drips down and then like instantly freezes when it hits the bottom of the cave, and so then you get these like pillars. They're really cool. They're nearly perfectly cylindrical with some cool kind of shapes and stuff going on in certain places. Well, this has been quite the adventure. A very cool trek to a very cool place. I would love to see these formations once they're kind of more fully built up, but even just as they are, they're so cool to see something like this that I've never seen in my entire life. So we're gonna snag some photos, maybe have a quick little break, and then we gotta try and make it back before the sun goes down. Thanks for coming along. See you later.
All right, hopefully you enjoyed that as much as I did. Falling thigh deep in the snow over and over again definitely made me feel like a kid again. But coming back to the Tamron 28-75 F2.8 G2, I was really happy with how it performed while I was out there. It's a little bit lighter and a little bit shorter than the previous version, but not by any significant amount. That being said, it is a nice small lens for a mid-range zoom, so it was great for this kind of activity where you don't want to be carrying too much around. And like a lot of the Tamron lenses, we've got a 67mm thread on the front as well, so it's a smaller barrel than the 24-70 competitors from Sigma and Sony. I have mentioned this about the previous version, but I did find myself slightly limited by the focal length. I typically carry a 24-70, and I don't know exactly what it is, but 24mm seems to be just right in a bunch of situations, where 28mm is just barely too tight. And as for the long end, I don't really even notice the extra 5mm compared to a 24-70. And if you're thinking, well, it's only 4mm difference on the wide end compared to 5mm on the long end, try to think of it in percentages instead of those specific numbers. 28mm is about 16% more than 24, 75 is only about 7% more than 70. But those handful of situations where it was just too tight aside, this zoom range is super handy and will cover you most of the time, hence why they call it a normal zoom or a mid-range zoom. Tamron has improved the build quality on this lens, opting for some new, less plasticky materials more similar to the 35-150. The zoom and focus rings have a better texture and a more rubbery, grippy feel, as well as just a better feeling motion to them too. The one problem that I ran into for the focus ring is that it's very close to the mount, so for my follow focus rig on my motion control slider, I couldn't quite get it in the right place to make it work properly. We've also got a brand new custom button on this lens that we didn't have on the previous model, and you can customize what it does using the USB-C port and the Tamron lens utility software. I have a whole video going over that you can check out after this, but personally, I think that some of the things that you can do with it are very exciting, like pre-planned focus pulls or changing your focus ring into an aperture ring. This lens is also weather sealed at several points, including the USB-C port, and I definitely put that to the test. This thing got absolutely covered in snow and it didn't even flinch. The one thing that I did notice when I was inside the cave, which was quite humid, the front element fogged up really easily. I did bust out my 16-35 G Master a couple of times when I was in the cave to shoot some photos, and it didn't seem to have as many issues with the fogging. Not a situation I would find myself in regularly, but just something to note. In terms of image quality, this is definitely a step up from the previous model. The general color and contrast has a really nice, pleasing look to it. The sharpness feels great in both the center and the edges at any focal length that I shot at. I did run into a little bit of chromatic aberration, but it was only in really extreme cases and generally only got strong when I started to push the edit. The images look great wide for some more landscape type shots, and they also look great at the long end for some more portrait type shots. So we've got a nice, consistent, great looking image. I am really happy to see Tamron going the extra mile on this. I think the image quality really stands up to the competitors in this category now instead of just being the budget option. It's now the budget option that performs just as well as the higher priced competitors. As far as autofocus, we have a whole new focus system in this. It's the VXD instead of the RXD that we saw in the first model. In my experience, autofocus hit the target most of the time. Eye autofocus, subject tracking, and face tracking worked pretty darn well, and with only a few exceptions where it did a little bit of hunting, it was pretty darn smooth. Overall, I'm really happy with the value that you get out of this lens and the quality that it produces. It truly competes with the Sigma and Sony 24-70 competitors now at a much more affordable price. And it's right on par price-wise with the Sigma 28-70. Like I said at the start, Tamron didn't need to make this lens. They already had the budget mid-range zoom category pretty well covered, but they've stepped it up in pretty much every way with this new version, and I think a lot of people are going to be really happy about that. If you're in the market for a mid-range zoom that gives you the most bang for your buck, you're definitely gonna want to keep this on your radar. But as always, I want to know what you think about this lens, so make sure to leave a comment down below, and on your way down there, hit that like and subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on future videos. Huge thank you to Doer for sponsoring this video. Make sure to go check them out at the link in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.